The domain of a function are all the allowable values that can go in for the input, for the independent variable. The range are all the values that are a result of those inputs. So those are your dependent variables. So your domain is your independent variable, and your range is your dependent. Your range depends upon your domain. So what is the domain of y equals the square root of x minus 1? Well, we know that x minus 1 in the radicand must be greater than or equal to 0. So our domain, we're going to calculate by taking x minus 1, setting it greater than or equal to 0. We get x is greater than or equal to 1. This is written as an inequality. We can also write our domain in interval notation. Now, what is our range? Our range depends upon our domain. So if I put a 1 in, so if I take this 1 and I put this 1 in, I get the square root of 0, which is 0. That's the lowest value I can put in. If I put higher numbers in, like for instance 25 or 26, 26 would be even a better number. If I put 26 in, 26 minus 1 is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. If I put 101 in, I would get 10 out. So these numbers, these range values, start at 0 and they continue to infinity. So our range started at and included 0 and includes infinity. Now the piecewise function is similar with respect to, we've got our radical equation, we've also got a linear equation. We've got a domain, however, right here that's already told to us. So we don't have to calculate that domain. So this domain right here shows that we're going to be going from negative infinity to 1, and then 1 included to infinity, which means we're really going from negative infinity to positive infinity. So these are all values of real numbers. So our domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. Well, what's going to happen when we put those negative numbers in, those numbers that are less than 1? Well, when we put numbers less than 1, the range is going to be negative infinity. Actually, it's going to be positive infinity. So when we put those negative numbers in for x, we're going to get larger numbers out. So we're going to go all the way up to positive infinity. When we put that lowest value in of 1, we're going to get 0 out. So the range for that first piece is 0 to infinity. The range for this piece right here, we're putting 1 in, which is going to give us a 0 out. And actually over here, you're probably going, wait a second, that 0 should not be included, and you were right, because we didn't have the equal to sign on the x is less than 1. So now back to the square root of x minus 1. When we put a 1 in, we get a 0 out, and that's included. When we put a 5 in, we get a 2 out. When we put a 10 in, we get a 3 out, and so on and so forth. So this is going to increase to infinity as well. So it looks like our range goes from 0 to infinity. And this is the domain. And now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to highlight those answers. So my answer for the domain, my answer for the range, and over here, my answer for both the domain and the range.